Whitechapel, at the end of the 19th century. I wonder how much you actually remember from before the summer holidays. Do you remember Sir Charles Warren? He was in charge of the Metropolitan Police Force, and he'd been a soldier before. He was criticised for his methods and bringing more army discipline to the police force, and the way that, for example, they handled riots or protests like in Trafalgar Square, where they handled it with violence, as you might expect soldiers to do. Do you remember the poverty? You can see some of the poverty of Whitehall. It's quite obvious. At Whitechapel. Can you remember that there was massive immigrant populations, including a big Jewish population that came from Eastern Europe? They struggled to fit in because of their language, and there was therefore a lot of anti-Jewish feeling in Whitechapel, and people were quite openly racist towards the Jews. This in some ways may have clouded the Ripper case, with people blaming the Jews for doing it, or a Jewish person. Do you remember the sort of techniques the police used to investigate the Ripper murder? Taking sketches, sometimes taking photographs, autopsies, interviewing people who were in the area at the time and might have been witnesses, and taking notes of the scene of the crime. Of course, these are things that we kind of expect the police to do now. Then these techniques were just being learnt, and so they weren't perfect. For example, the first Ripper victim, I believe that one was Annie Chapman, or Mary. Yeah, could it have been Mary? Anyway, whoever the first victim was, the policeman who turned up and found the body did make careful observations of the body, but before other policemen arrived, and before detectives arrived, the doctor had ordered the body to be taken to the mortuary at the local hospital. And so the crime scene had been disturbed by perhaps the biggest clue being removed. Do you remember all the different types of sources you could look at? Do you remember what a census was? A census is where you had to, you have to fill them in. We do them all the time, I think every 10 years, and by law you have to fill them in with details. Police records. Records from the Old Bailey, which is where trials were held. Newspapers, local, national, there's lots of things. See how many you can remember from last year, because this topic is all about sources and how useful sources could be. There's just a flavour of some of the things which you need to remember from the Jack the Ripper case, and hopefully you'll learn many, many more today, and your memory will be jogged by things, because we've got to get this knowledge in these first couple of weeks. There we go.